All right. Good morning. Karen Scholl, Operations Section Chief with the Alaska Incident Management Team here on the August Complex, North Zone. With your October 2nd briefing. Whole complex is approximately 970,500 acres. We're at about 51% containment, and we'll start with what happened overnight. Last night, down on our eastern flank, everything is holding in place north of Yola Boli Mountain in the Buck Fire, and overnight up in near Red Mountain. Everything is looking good, and it's holding within our main containment line. We are kind of just nursing that along to stay ahead of the main fire. So as the main fire wants to move, we just stay even with it so it doesn't come out and give us containment issues. So that is all looking real good, and the plan here is to continue to nurse this along, so real slow, bring it slowly down, and tie it into this Buck Fire, which has been a fairly good holding, and we've got some dozer lines getting pushed in to tie it in to the old Buck Fire down in this area. So this is all looking good so far, and crews were in there last night, and dozers pushing line and improving it so that we can use that, continue to use that. Up on the right shoulder, up in the red up off the 73 road, the fire continues to back down nicely, and we're just kind of monitoring that and making sure it doesn't get ahead of itself. So this is all looking real good. Overnight, it was sitting nice. Last night, we did get some fire activity into the old Pickett Fire. It was anticipated sooner or later it was going to come in there, and so it's in there. We also had a little activity up along above Journey's End. So the fire's picking up a little bit on the ridge, and it's backing down, and that's a good backing fire. That's what we want there. So we may see some activity in there as firefighters determine whether we'll likely continue to bring that down, understory burn as much as possible, and bring it down closer to the residence where we can then contain it, because we've got dozer lines and folks all along the residence from Journey's End further to the north. So anticipate a little bit more activity in here today. It's part of what we're trying to do is control the fire and bring it down with our terms. And the other part is trying to balance that about with making sure we get a good enough burn and that we're not just blackening everything and just burning the crowns. We're not expecting any red flag winds in the next couple of days, which is what happened last Sunday and Monday, which is why what we had done previously, why fire was able to then come back and run through the crowns. We're not expecting that, so as we bring fire down slowly, anticipating a good understory burn, and as long as we're able to keep the winds, well, we can't keep the winds, but as long as the winds stay favorable, the understory burn will be good, and as we bring that to the north. Crews today will continue to structure prep and build containment lines, so as that fire wants to back down and we bring it down slowly, that'll protect the residents along the Ruth Lake East area and points further to the north as it ties into Upper Mad River and then up towards Sportsman. We have crews and engine crews and folks coming up through the 36 corridor, looking at assessing and doing structure preparation for fire impacts eventually. Around Hidden Valley, we got crews in there. We've got dozer lines and pumps and hose in around Hidden Valley, and so that's being looked at and protected. And we've also have crews and folks coming up into the Rowdy Bear, Friends Valley, taking a look and seeing what's required and providing that structure protection in those areas. Today we'll have dozer line continue to push, trying to get across to the Trinity and see where we can bring it down. Again, this may be more of a check line and buying us time while we get structure protection up in the values at risk further north of the fire. Moving back into the Ruth Valley and Hentenshaw Valley areas, we did have a lot of activity yesterday and last night. So last night, things kind of settled down a little bit. But we did have a big push yesterday towards the south. It did cross into the west zones area, and they are helping us down here because we just don't have the resources to do this. So the west zone has been helping. They've been opening up old dozer lines and preparing for this fire to come to them. Didn't require a lot for the fire to move yesterday. A little bit of clearing and influx of a little bit of fresh air and clean air, and about a 5 mile an hour, 8 mile an hour, a couple of gusts was all it took to get embers and get this fire to move at a fairly good rate. It wasn't the rates, obviously, that we saw Sunday, Monday, but this fire just wants to keep moving. And speaking of the fire wanting to move, the fuels are extremely dry. Everything is very receptive, so we use an index called the probability of ignition. It takes the live and dry fuel moisture counts, put in some temperatures and relative humidities, and you have your probability of ignition. That means if an ember lands in this spot, what's the probability that will start a fire? And we're upwards of about 90% right now. So any little push will allow those fuels to start consuming, and that's what's really making this fire move along. We have different fuel types that we talk about. We have brush, grass, timber slash, all those types of different fuel types we consider when we're trying to look at how this fire is going to move or wants to move. And pretty much right now, everything is receptive. We have live fuels and dead fuels. The size of the fuels is something we consider. So your little grasses and shrubs, those are 1 hour fuels. It takes an hour of relative humidity to change their moisture content and whether they're receptive or not. And since we're not getting the marine layer, those 1 hour fuels are staying severely dry. The 100 and 1,000 hour fuels, the larger diameter dead fuels that are on the ground, those are at about 10% moisture content. That means it's extremely dry, and any embers that get in there into any of that dead and down is going to ignite and cause the fire to continue to move. So those are the things that are driving this fire right now. It's fuels driven, it's topography driven. So if it's at the bottom of a slope, it wants to run up the slope and then back down the other side. And it's not just an understory burn. As the fuels start to consume, it's taken all those 100 hours and 1,000 hour fuels, and that's what's driving this fire and causing a lot of the tree torching. When you got trees torching and you have flame lengths of greater than 4 to 5 feet, personnel cannot be right next to that putting fire out. And that's when we require aircraft to help us. We require dozers to help us. And then, as you know, when you have a big running kind of timber fire, the heat that comes off of that, we just need to be able to deal with that with aircraft. And yesterday was not a flying day. The air was too soupy, so we couldn't get aircraft up to support any of this. So that's kind of what's driving this right now. We are expecting still northwest winds, which will channel and funnel down the Van Duzen and Ruth Mad River drainages, and anywhere there's a movement through the topography. So some of these canyons here kind of swing back around to the southwest, and that's where we're going to see the movement of the fire. It wants to just keep moving south and southwest and channeling through the topography. So expecting just another kind of day like yesterday with movement towards the south. Our partners, the CAL FIRE Team 5, are well aware. They're down there pushing dozer line and trying to slow the spread. So they're well aware of that. Xenia, Kenton Palm, any evacuations mandatory. And we're sending resources best we can. We are working on the west side of Ruth Lake and trying to tie into CAL FIRE Team 5 as they're trying to build line from the zone break into the forest. And we've got some tie-in points along the Van Duzen, so we're looking for opportunities to keep this fire from moving to the north and with dozer line. So this is being worked on It's just slow going, and again, our top priority are the structures and structure protection. So as we're able to mop up and secure the structures in the Ruth and Hentenshaw valleys, we're able to start breaking away some of our dozers to come help in this effort. The effort is also going on down further at the very bottom near the Flying AA Ranch. We're continuing with the structure protection down there. Some of that will involve some hand lighting along containment lines to back the fire away from the structures, as well as going into the area and securing around the homes where the fire is already located. So let's see, I think that's about it for today. We do have scouts doing long-range scouting up in the High and Palm area, Hayfork, and one of the things with this being such a fuels-driven fire, it's not a wind-driven fire right now, it's fuels-driven. Wherever there's fuels, it wants to burn. Likely up in the Hayfork area where we have a fuel transition, it goes from timber down into a grass model. That will be much easier to control. And so a lot of these other lines that we're putting in are check lines. The thing that's really going to help us the most is a change in the weather, and we're not really anticipating that for at least another week to 10 days. So we can expect fire growth, and mostly in the south-southwest, we can expect fire growth to the north as it backs and is fuels-driven and topography-driven, because we're not expecting heavy winds, but it will want to back against the wind and continue movement. Over on the other side, on our eastern flank, this is the only area where we're anticipating any movement, and that is within control lines. Right now, there's always a possibility that we'll get spotting outside of that, but this is where we're really trying to hold it so we can continue to push a containment line up further to the north. So that's your overview for today. Have a good day.